What do tornadoes, cult leaders or cults, and social media influencers have in common? A tornado is a dissipative structure. It sucks in energy, it spins the energy around, it churns the engine around, it spits out the energy, and it leaves a path of destruction in its wake. When a tornado forms, nobody knows exactly when it's going to form. You need to have the right conditions, but just because you have the right conditions doesn't guarantee you're going to get a tornado. That's why tornado chasers or tornado watchers never really know when it's going to start. And tornadoes have a very indeterminate, unpredictable half-life. You never know how long they're going to last. But they just pop up spontaneously. They suck in energy. They spit energy out. They leave a trail of destruction. And then poof, they're gone. And nobody knows how long that's going to be. Imagine a group of people, maybe 10 people, 15 people, and this group has a leader. And they meet every week and they talk about some kind of topic. Maybe it's a religious topic. Maybe he preaches from the Bible. Maybe it's some kind of self-help. Maybe they talk about esoteric and mystic ideas. Who knows? Law of attraction. And let's say this leader is extremely congruent. And he's very, very enthusiastic and passionate about what he talks about. And congruence means there's no doubt in what he's saying. There's no inhibition. He expresses his thoughts purely and transparently without worrying whatsoever about the outcome or the response. Pure congruence. Whenever we're around somebody that is purely congruent, this person is incredibly pleasant to be around. If you can manage to develop a congruent frame, it won't matter what you talk about up on the surface. People will be attracted to your congruent frame. The more you can develop congruence and just speak uninhibitedly without any doubt, the more people will naturally be attracted to you. So let's say this leader meets with his followers every week and they talk about this stuff, and he starts to feel a real sense of power and authority, because when he talks, he's talking about something that he's passionate about. He's not afraid to talk about it. There's no fear when he talks. He's enthusiastic, and he sees the look of appreciation and approval and validation and recognition on the faces of his group. And this feels good. Most people have heard about the authority instinct as a persuasive tool. 9 out of 10 doctors recommend mind persuasion to cure your erectile dysfunction. But authority also works from the other side. In fact, having authority over other people and having them voluntarily listen to you, your message, and follow your message is the holy grail of human existence. Deep, deep, deep in our subconscious mind is our ego, whose only goal is to get as much authority as possible. Your ego that is hiding in your subconscious has the only goal to get as much authority as you possibly can. So as soon as this leader starts to talk and feel this good feeling, this is a very instinctively pleasing feeling. And our beliefs are not what we think they are. Most people have this idea that our beliefs are a determinator or a measurer of the objective reality around us. People have this idea that I'll believe it when I see it. Therefore, we see proof in reality, then we believe what's true about reality. But it works actually in the opposite way. We'll see it when we believe it. Socrates was famous for proving that everybody's beliefs were false. If you practice any kind of sales reframing, you know that you can easily reframe anything into anything else. Our beliefs are kind of a moving average reframer of the world around us, and they change to get us more instinctively pleasing things. Whenever we're close or we think we're close to an instinctively pleasing thing, our beliefs will change so we can more congruently go after what we want. We'll believe things are true because we'll act in congruence with what we believe to be true so we can get closer to the things that we want. Like if you're on a diet and you want to cheat on your diet, you're hungry. If you just cheated, you would feel guilty, and that's contrary to your ego. You need to protect your ego integrity. So it might take a while until you justify or change your beliefs that make it okay to cheat on your diet so you don't feel guilty. Similarly, when you see somebody at work, you want to cheat on your spouse with this person at work, you don't cheat right away. You need time to change your beliefs to justify the cheating so you feel congruent going after this new thing. Authority is the same way. Whenever somebody feels any kind of authority, their beliefs will change so they believe whatever they need to believe so they can get more of this authority feeling. So every week this group meets, the guy talks, the people listen, and the whole time his subconscious is saying, we need more authority, and they're changing his beliefs. And so whatever the message is, things start to creep into the message that will support the idea of getting more authority. And these are things he believes. He'll believe new things. His beliefs will shift. So his message will shift, but he still believes a message. And now the message includes things like, this idea is so important. We need to share this with other people. You need to tell people about this. You need to share this information with other people because this is so important. And that creeps into his message, and that starts to grow the group, and that gives him more of that authority feeling. And the next level, the next message, the next belief is usually something like, this is so important. This meetings that we're having, me talking, you listening, this is so important. This can't be a hobby. This can't be a part-time thing. This has to be a full-time thing. And if this is a full-time thing, we need money. And so you need to go out there and earn some money and give most of it to me. That comes into his message. And he says that congruently so everybody believes it. And now you have the ingredients for a cult. You have a very charismatic leader. You have a growing group of people, a growing group of followers. You have some kind of an income source that's increasing, and the cult leader is starting to make more and more money. And pretty soon, this cult leader starts to get some really crazy beliefs. Because he's talking, they're listening, they're getting more and more people are coming to see him. There's money coming in. He's starting to become rich. He's maybe never been rich before. And now he starts to believe he might indeed be a messenger of God. He might be some kind of spiritual entity. He might be some kind of special envoy from beyond. And this is how cult leaders develop these crazy beliefs, because our beliefs change to validate whatever we need to believe to get more authority. Now, if this cult slides into the territory of us versus them, that's when it can spin off into dangerous territory, tornado territory, leaving a path of destruction in its wake territory. But it can just kind of bounce along in an equilibrium and never really kill anybody, or never kill themselves to get onto the spaceship behind the comet. Let's consider another mental experiment. Let's say you have 1 million people, and each one of these 1 million people, they want to become TikTok famous. They want to become famous on social media. So they all decide to make one video per day. And after 6 months, each one of them has 180 videos. Now, these 1 million people with 180 videos each, they're going to fall under a Pareto distribution. A Pareto distribution is the 80-20 rule. So 20% of the people are going to have 80% of all the views. But 20% of 20% are going to have 80% of 80%. And 20% of 20% of 20% are going to have 80% of 80% of 80%. So 8,000 people, 0.8%, 8,000 people are going to have slightly more than half of all the views of all these videos. So these 8,000 people are going to get a lot of views on their videos. Now, why these 8,000 people and not another 8,000 people? That's the thing. Nobody can predict that. This is absolutely unpredictable. This is why it's so incredibly impossible to reverse engineer whatever it takes to become famous on social media. A lot of famous influencers that seem to be doing well on social media are really in a crap ton of debt. They're just spending a lot of money on their credit cards to try to pretend like they're social media famous, so they're buying all their views. Not directly, but they're buying all the stuff that gets them all the views. And so these 8,000 people, who ends up in this group is unpredictable. You can't predict this. But now let's look at one of these, an imaginary one of these 8,000 people. And let's say it's been a month and they've got 30 videos. And they look at all their 30 videos after a month. And these 30 videos are also going to be in a Pareto distribution. Some of them will have a lot of views. Some of them will have 0 views or 1 view or 2 views. And they're going to naturally make more of the videos that get them the most views. So they go about their day thinking about what kind of content they can make like these that get more views. And their subconscious is working to change their beliefs. So they believe whatever they need to believe so they can congruently talk about whatever they need to talk about to make these videos, these types of videos that will get more views. And so their beliefs slowly shift over time, just like the cult leader. And let's say it's been 6 months and their beliefs have been slowly shifting and they're making more and more content and they're getting more and more feedback, positive feedback from the system. They're getting more views, they're getting more likes, they're getting more comments on their videos. This is when they start to believe that they've discovered something magical, because this entire time, they're not trying to do any research and talk about something interesting. They're just talking about whatever comes to mind. They're expressing their self. They're expressing their opinion. They're expressing what they believe to be true about the world. And what they believe to be true about the world is constantly shifting to get more and more views. Now, the way beliefs actually work is we shift our beliefs to be more congruent, going after instinctively pleasing things: food, sex, money, power. That's about it, in all their different forms that they're presented to us. But it's kind of like a moving thing that's chasing a moving target. But the way we perceive this is everybody believes that our beliefs are an objective representation of reality. So when your beliefs shift, it doesn't feel like, well, I'm just believing this, now I'm believing this. They're two different things. I've just reframed things differently. We interpret our changing beliefs as discovering new truths about reality, because we believe our beliefs are objectively true. My beliefs are objectively true. Everybody else's beliefs are subjectively false. Everybody believes that. I don't have an ego. Everybody else has an ego. That's the brilliance of the ego. It keeps itself hidden. One of the greatest theories of evolution is from anthropologist Robert Trivers, who said our brains got so big so fast because we deceive ourselves so we can better deceive others. The main goal of our ego is to get and express and enjoy as much authority over other people as we can. But if we were conscious about that, if we consciously said that to people, that would have the opposite effect. So the best way, according to evolution, to get authority over other people is to pretend you don't want authority. So everybody has an ego whose secret dream of life is to be in charge of everybody, to be the ruler of the world. But this ego keeps itself very deeply hidden in our subconscious. And so as our beliefs are shifting, as this imaginary social media influencer is getting more and more power, they're convincing themselves that I'm discovering new things about the world. I'm discovering new things about reality. Something very, very fascinating, wonderful is happening to me. I'm starting to see things more clearly. I'm starting to understand things more clearly. And if they happen to be making enough money to not have to have a regular job, That's when they really start to spin into delusional la-la land. They start to believe that they're special, just like the cult leader believed he was an emissary from God. These social media influencers that have been sharing their beliefs and their opinions and are getting more fame, more likes, more comments, more money, their beliefs are shifting into the area of I must have some kind of specialness because I don't need a job. Everybody else in the world needs a job, but I'm somehow surviving without working. I must be chosen by God. I must be some kind of spiritual entity. And that's where they can shift into kind of la-la land. And this is why a lot of these people's content is kind of, it sounds like law of attraction, or I've discovered the secret of the matrix, or I can see the truth behind the veil, or I get things like other people don't get. And they always have this kind of this kind of group kind of language, because the comments of people that watch these videos are usually in the form of yeah, me too, yeah, me too, yeah, me too. So it feels like they've discovered something and their discovery is getting validated by all their followers. Now imagine how somebody outside of them sees them or interprets them that's watching them on TikTok. Let's say a brand new viewer finds one of their videos. And usually these people are very, very articulate, the TikToker, the person making the video. They're very articulate. They're usually somewhat attractive. At least they have a symmetric face. And this triggers the Cialdini influence factor of liking. Whenever we like somebody, for whatever reason, we'll be much more likely to believe whatever they say. But if they have a whole bunch of followers, that will trigger authority and social proof. If they have followers and tons of comments in all their videos, now they've got liking, authority, and social proof. Any one of these by itself will make us believe something much more likely. But three together makes it almost impossible to question what they're saying. So before they even talk, these three Cialdini triggers have brainwashed us into pre-believing whatever they're about to say. And usually when these people talk, they're kind of vague in their language, and they talk about seeing beneath the matrix because they have these very, very powerful ideas like I'm special, but they can't really articulate those ideas because they're kind of esoteric. And so they can't really use they don't really use a lot of specific language in their talk. And this is kind of hypnotic in itself. Hypnotic language patterns, conversational hypnosis, is deliberately vague so the listener can project their own meaning into what they're saying. So the average person sees a famous person on TikTok. They're attractive. They're articulate. Triggers liking, authority, social proof. So we're primed to believe whatever they say before they even talk. And then they speak in kind of accidentally hypnotic language, which is vague, and we project our own meaning into it, and it feels so true. Yeah, me too. It feels so true. So this creates this kind of two-sided swirl of delusion, which is really just because this lucky TikToker won the survivorship bias contest. And no one can predict who that is. No one can predict who will win the Pareto distribution death match. And so modern social media is a fantastic insight into human nature. But the real matrix isn't something out there that you can see that's being kept hidden from us. The real matrix is inside the human brain. The real matrix is the ego that stays hidden deeply in our subconscious. The real matrix is how our beliefs are really self-deceptive so we can more congruently go after what we want, believing that we found the truth when we really just reframed ourselves into believing whatever delusion we need to believe to continuously and congruently move forward. That's the real matrix. And if you can understand this in yourself and manage this, and if you can see this and understand this in others, if you can see this in others when they talk and realize they have a hidden ego that's trying to be powerful, but they're pretending that's the opposite of what they want, you'll see this everywhere. And once you see this in other people, this is the easiest way to persuade people, to manipulate them, to manipulate the matrix, to come in under the radar, behind the scenes, and leverage their deep ego to get them to do whatever you want. Now, I don't know if that's what you want to do, but if you'd like to use this information, use your understanding of human nature to become more persuasive, check out the links below. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you next time.